This week, how a specific siege module led to a Cold War escalation. A Ragnarok in a Ragnarok completes a poker hand. Coalitions fortify with more Keepstars anchored. Pochven citadels remain under fire, and a golem brawl sets the bait for a titan kill. Hello pod people, I'm Frost and this is your weekly EVE Online update. Welcome back. So as always, we start the show by announcing the winners of the Scope Syndication skin, which is currently the Healer Gila. I have lots of winners to announce, as we had some from the previous week that have now come through. So from the 23rd of November, I'm going to try and pronounce this correctly. We've got Divimi Dvar Kander and LB LeBlanc. And then from last week's episode, I have only had one winner come through, which is Osamuru. And I'm still waiting for Easy Sports, that's your YouTube name, to get in touch with me through my Discord. Link is in the reply to your comment in the last week's video. Get in touch with me, I can sort out your skin. I also gave away an extra bonus skin. I do this from time to time when I get a good comment. This time it was a poem from Princess Spectral, and I will read out this poem very quickly. There was a young dude and his capital who thought jumping through gates was tactical. He got locked by a fleet and his loss was complete, and now he flies something less valuable. There we go. I thought that was a very good one. So well done there, Princess Spectral. Now, I know we're already into November, but I actually still have the Healer Gila skin to give away. I have a couple left. The reason why is CCP aren't releasing the new partner skins until the 7th, and this is being shot the day before. So I will have the new skin for the Twitch show on Friday. Okay. Let's get on with the news. So the big news this week, and I will jump up into my box, is this whole exploit, which was this notification of the Abyssal Siege module. So what was this about? Well, also I've got to point out very quickly as well, my caveat at the beginning, I may be using the words claimed, apparently, and allegedly quite a lot for this. Okay, so just so you're prepared. So the main issue, let's see if my pen is on the ready, was that with the Abyssal mods, that's the Decayed Siege module multi-plasmid, you could fit a siege module on a Titan. So obviously this then just seriously boosts up the amount of DPS that a Titan can do to some just ridiculous numbers. And so this apparently this a bug was known about for quite a while and been known by various parties. Now, tying in with all of this in the system of Lone Trek, and this is kind of what kicked it all off, in the system of Utsasai, which is on the border with Tribute, and through OB, it's also on the Veil of Silence, so right on the border with Fraternity Space, Snuffed Out dropped a Fortizar in Utsasai. Also, there is a fraternity Keepstar or associated to fraternity Keepstar in the system of Utsasai. And so this apparently all kicked off around this. Now, this is all happened on December the 3rd. Now, as a consequence of this, this exploit became known. And if we look at the mod, this is the market for this particular module, the Decayed Siege module multi-plasmid. And you will see that on the 3rd, 167 was sold in one day. So clearly what seemed to be happening here is apparently Fraternity bought the mods to put in their Titans in case Snuffed Out used their capitals, their super capitals with the siege module, because they had already found out by this stage that Snuffed Out had jumped to a midpoint. Now, this is where things get a little bit more confusing. So then the exploit was announced. This was on the Friday afternoon. This is all on a Friday. And at that point, a fraternity stated apparently that the mods were put in the fleet hangars of the Titans, but once the exploit was announced, then the mods were actually removed. And they only brought them in case Snuffed Out were planning on using the exploit themselves. Snuffed Out said that they had informed CCP of the bug a long time ago, had no intention of using it, and actually stood down their super capital fleet before the exploit was announced. So you can see where this is all going. So as a consequence of that, I actually had this on my Twitch show you can see that the Forties then just died uncontested. Just basically all subcaps, a whole bunch of Typhon fleet issues were brought in masse, or en masse, should I say, by Fraternity, and they just basically blacked this Forties uncontested. Now, this is a moment where I need one of these. So you can see I have this on. So this basically allows me to deny everything from this point on. Let me just turn off my pen as well. Okay. Oh, actually, my pen's actually on the Twitch stream. Okay. So the questions I have for you: was this Forties dropped in order for Snuffed Out to make use of the mods that were the exploit, or was the Forties dropped and then the module bug leaked in order for Fraternity to mass purchase these mods and then use them so they could get the Fraternity Titan pilots banned? Or was it all just coincidence and Snuffed Out dropped a fort on the Fraternity border just to make Fraternity do a max CTA? Food for thought. All right, there you go. That's my tinfoil hat moment. I'm quite happy with that hat. It's kind of very World War II British Army, don't you think? Okay, right, so let's move on. So there you go. So that was the whole story of the Decayed Siege module multi-plasmid. So let's go back on to other stuff now. So as you remember, if I go back to my universe map and, there we go, close that. And grab my pen, let's go blue. I generally now sort of kind of go around the blue donut kind of this way with the news, and I kind of stop kind of once we go from north to south and then do the giveaway. Right, so we're going to start off with Cloud Ring. Oops, completely missed that. Cloud Ring. Okay, so in Cloud Ring, if you're not aware of the last few weeks, the Imperium initiative specifically have been pushing into Cloud Ring, which was territory that was primarily owned by, well, mostly, no, it was fully owned by Pride Triumvirate. And then obviously Deepwater Hooligans are in Syndicate, and they kind of took this system down here. So what we've seen over the last few weeks is still ongoing, which is that basically the structures that belong to Triumvirate are being killed. Triumvirate, even with the support they have, are not in a position to really hold off against this. And if I can find the battle report, here we go. You will see that they are substantially outnumbered by the Imperium, and they have been relying primarily on kind of flying more expensive stuff, specifically these nightmares. These nightmares cost 1.4 billion each approximately. So they kind of try and make up with, fact support and nightmares to try and hold off the hacks from the Imperium. Now, they've done pretty good in the past. Normally, in the past, we've seen the Imperium losses be higher than Triumvirate, along with the help of Greater Trash Community, normally Pandemic Horde. So we've got Greater Trash Community, so Triumvirate here. Then we have Greater Trash Community, which is Reform Volta, Toilet Paper. The Bastion's on the wrong side. Let me flick that over. Scumlords, Quote Alliance, and Video Glory Comes is also on the wrong side. We Foam Volta, and it's normally We Form Blob, and We Form Blob, there we go. And then you have the third parties who are siding with Triumvirate, which is Pandemic Horde, and Test, who seem to be having trouble getting to these fights. So the last one, they didn't even make it through into the system. So yeah, so basically Bastion should be on this side and Video Glory Comes should be on that side as well. There we go. So the main thing is that the losses this time were more substantial for Triumvirate and Greater Trash Community and Pandemic Horde, and primarily because these nightmares got caught. And if I understand correctly, they were slightly out of position. The fax reps didn't land when they should, and so they're able to black quite a few. And at 1.4 billion each, that soon ramps up the losses on that side. So I don't know how many more structures are left from the point of view of Triumvirate. I need to ask them probably this week, but I imagine this is just going to be an ongoing thing. But from what I understand is that Triumvirate are now pretty much accepted that they are going to pull back into Black Rise and become a kind of NPC or low sec group for the time being until they decide what to do next. Obviously harassing Triumvirate and on French Connection have disappeared. French Connection did actually have some iHubs down here, but they're no longer there. So not quite sure what's going on there as well. I need to look into that. But either way, the Imperium are definitely moving into Cloud Ring. Okay, then a couple of Keepstars anchoring this week. I have some footage of one here. I managed to finally get here The amount of bubbles on this gate were incredible. This is in Fade. It is a Greater Trash Community Keepstar. It is actually the first Keepstar for We Inform Volta. And this is just some footage of them just jumping in all their caps and supers and stuff into their new home in Fade. So there you go. So we're seeing this quite a bit at the moment, sort of more Keepstars being anchored and everything kind of being fortified before the next potential war that may break out in the future. So that's that. Then obviously we need to go on to Pure Blind. I say obviously, it's not obvious really. Pure Blind, haven't seen any activity really since we saw last week. We saw Brave kind of drop a bunch of structures in the EL8-4Q. I was predicting that they would start some soft warfare against Bandalogs, Bandalogs being .ru here. These guys. But it's not happened, so we'll have to wait and see if things progress from there. So now let's move on to a character we have been following quite a lot over the last few weeks, a Ragnarok in a Ragnarok. So a Ragnarok's become very well known for his drive-by shootings. Now, last week I put out a challenge to a Ragnarok, and I stated that he basically killed 3 golems in Fortac H, and he had also killed 1 Varga, which I'm going to highlight in blue. And so I was going to ask him would he be able to do either 4 of a kind or a full house in poker hands in 4-H. And Ragnarok responded with, I'll do it in yellow, with a full house with a Varga kill in 4-H. So congratulations there to a Ragnarok on achieving his poker hand. So we will have to see where that goes next. I know Fraternity have been trying to pin him down, but he is proving extremely slippery. And obviously his skills are increasing all the time as Fraternity's attempts become more and more fervent. So we shall see if that story continues and how long for. Right, then I need to talk about very quickly the birthday fleet that I talked about last week, where Fraternity once again brought a whole bunch of capitals, 10 capitals, and so kitchen sink subcap fleet up into Geminate, pushing some buttons with Pandemic Horde. Now, one thing I need to say was I called the corporation that organized this Warp Eagle Fleet. That was a slip of the tongue on my part. It should actually be War Eagle Fleet. Also, you may want to watch my Twitch show from last Friday, because I posed a question here which I thought was very interesting. Because the response I got was very mixed in that I said that basically, why would you bring a complete full doctrine of Munins with Claymores and Hugins and Lachesis against a kitchen sink fleet, because the kitchen sink fleet will never be able to challenge that and it will get obliterated. And some people said that, well, they have every single right because Fraternity raided the ESS, so therefore that was actually an act of aggression. And others said, no, it should be a fleet that's able to provide a good fight on both sides, considering the fleet was brought out with the point of view of it being kind of a fun roam. So interesting to see the different points of view there, and I would be interested to see what you have to say as well for all of you that are watching purely on YouTube. But if you want to see that discussion, it's towards the end of my Twitch stream last Friday. Right, okay, let's do the giveaway. So like I said, here it is again. I had the Healer Gila for the last time, I think. And like I said, I've literally just got a couple of skins left. I have been giving a lot away. I haven't actually thought of a keyword. What am I going to use as a keyword? Oh, okay, well, of course, yes. The keyword is going to be module. So make up any comments you can think of with the word module, as that was kind of the headline of this week. You have until Friday the 10th of December, 1800 UTC, in order to make your comment to be entered into the prize draw. I normally do the prize draw either late on Friday or on a Saturday morning is when I try and do it. So check your comments that you made on Saturday afternoon and see if I reply to you and you have won a skin. So good luck with the Healer Gila. Okay, so moving on, we're going to go to catch. So let's go to catch. Catch. There we go. Right, so the main thing that I've got to say here is I mentioned it last week, how there was a breakaway group from within Dreadbomb Alliance So there's a corp called Sensible People who moved across with a bunch of others. So if we actually look at Dreadbomb now, you could see there's actually now been another group that has left, Falco's Peregrinos, who has actually gone over to the initiative. So you can see we've got a couple of corps that have gone over to the initiative, and then Sensible People, which is kind of the instigator of this new alliance, along with Syndicate and Brute Force, went over to Sigma Grindset. What we're also seeing on the catch map now is that pretty much all of the Dreadbomb systems have now, the iHubs have now been flipped over to Sigma Grindset. So there's virtually very little presence now from Dreadbomb. So Dreadbomb are primarily left with just a few corporations, Outback Steakhouse of Pancakes being the main corp and the originating corp, I think, if I remember correctly, of Dreadbomb, and then a few other groups. So we'll have to see what happens with those groups. So with Sigma Grindset, as you can see that they've, if we go to the overview, you know, they had their quick little bump. There's been like another little bump recently where I think another group just joined them just recently, which was New Eden Shipyards. So hopefully I'll be able to try and find out a little bit more about this. One thing we can tell, obviously, from the catch map is that this is done with the blessing of Wrecking Crew Coalition. So it looks like this is amicable at a coalition level. And so we're not expecting any kind of further issues, you know, in terms of this actually happening and moving forward. So they also did find, I actually did ask leadership of Sigma Grindset if Ligma Grindset has anything to do with them. I haven't had a reply yet. Maybe I'll know by the time of the Twitch show on Friday as to what Ligma Grindset is all about. I just found it quite strange. Maybe it's the industry division of Sigma Grindset. I like the executive call called I missed the part where that's my problem. We can see where that's going. See, this is what gives it away. It's got Sigma Freight in there as well, so it's got to be associated to Sigma Grindset, right? I mean, one would think so, but I will try and find out by Friday. Okay, other bits of news. Wicked Creek. So I talked about Keepstars being anchored. So in Wicked Creek, a fourth Keepstar has been anchored by Fire Coalition. Don't have any footage of that, unfortunately. But I did find out that apparently this Keepstar was built by one single corporation, or the main effort was by one single corporation of Unreal Alliance, who were not happy on not being on the Keepstar chain for Fire Coalition. And so they went ahead and just built this Keepstar off their own backs. And there you go. So there's now a fourth Keepstar for Fire Coalition. Right, then we're going to go to... going to miss out the rest of the South. The rest of the South has been pretty quiet this week, to be honest. You know, obviously nothing's happening in Imperium space, and I haven't heard much of any sort of main content fights or anything kind of happening in kind of Esoteria, Fetherbolis, Impasse, Tenerifis, and obviously nothing ever happens in Omist. So it's all been pretty quiet from that point of view. So we're going to go over to Pochven. So when I'm talking about Pochven is we're going to be talking about Nalvula. So Nalvula is up here. And what we're seeing with Nalvula is that we are basically getting a tit for tat on citadel structures being hit. And it'll be interesting to see where this goes. So let me see if I can find the first battle report. So this first battle report, quite a lot of people involved, as always, with anything to do with Pochven. Obviously, the main groups were attacking this Rogue Capel Fortizar. This Rogue Capel Fortizar ended up in Hulltimer. So we had Elysians, former NSH, Northern Coalition. Then we have Winterco, which is, let me use the blue pen for that. Winterco, which is Fraternity, Lords of Worlds Alliance, Blades of Grass, and Caladrius Alliance, literally triggered, and Siege Green also fly with them. And then I think that's everybody, and obviously Test as well showed up for that as well. Let me use my yellow pen for Test, there we go. And then on the Defender side, the main groups are kind of Rogue Capel, Dock Workers snuffed out, Wrecking Crew, particularly Dreadbomb, Brotherhood of Spacers normally show up with Greater Trash Community to help with that, I think. No, Brotherhood of Spacers normally fly with Rogue Capel and some other groups that are up in Venal Latino, which I can remember which one's which. Anyway, the main thing was that a lot of losses here on the attacker's side, and the Fortizar was saved as well, so they managed to save it on the Hulltimer. One of the primary reasons for this, first one was that a lot of capitals were committed to this fight, by Rote and friends, along with a bunch of, if I scroll down a little bit, a bunch of, I need to delete that now, a bunch of Vargas and Golems as well, Marauders. So they've got a lot of DPS on grid. Don't forget, these capitals can't be replaced. As I double-checked and triple-checked, capitals, to my understanding, cannot be built in Pochven. So if these capitals die, that's it. Same as the citadel structures, the citadels or upwell structures that are currently in Pochven. Once they're gone, they will never be replaced. So that's why these fights, are kind of like all on the line. So the end result, though, was that they Rote and friends brought ravens. Now these ravens can head out at just ridiculous ranges, and that between and then supporting the ravens, we then had some hacks. We had some Serbs from Crunchwarp, that's Dock Workers and of Sound Mind, and Wrecking Crew, Dreadbomb and Co. And then, so they all came in a bunch of Serbs. Dock Workers and No Forks Given also came in some Zealots, which did quite a lot of damage. And so the main thing was that the Ravens kind of insta-blacked or removed the Guardians that were the Logi for Elysians pretty quickly. Then the Fraternity Munions realized that they weren't able to take out these Ravens, so they tried to warp in at 0, get into DPS range, and also be at kind of getting caught by the Dreads and the Zealots and everything else, and so they got pretty badly blacked as a consequence of that. And so this was quite a costly attack that achieved nothing from the point of view of the attackers, and so the defenders managed to keep their Fortizar for another day. Then on the flip side, Fraternity also have a Fortizar in Nelvula. That was hit back probably as a consequence of this attack, but that was uncontested when it came to armor timer, and so now both structures, or all structures, are now back at their kind of full state, all hunky-dory for now, but I would imagine this is going to be an ongoing thing. The one other thing I have with Nelvula as well, unfortunately, some capitals were destroyed. There was a Rev and a Thani that were destroyed by Darkside. It looks like they were ratting, or they were being used. Looks like they were hot dropped. I mean, I can see some Paladins and Leshaks and a whole bunch of other stuff there. And so I don't know exactly quite what happened. The main kind of headline here was more that a couple of capitals died. So Pochven is. Not just small gang, there's also some big stuff happening there with some big groups. All right, then I'm going to talk about a Titan death. I caused a bit of a panic on my Twitch stream because I said a Ragnarok died, and everyone's like, no, not a Ragnarok. But it wasn't a Ragnarok. It was a Minmatar Titan of the that is called of the type Ragnarok, should I say? So it doesn't create any confusion. And what's quite interesting with this was how it all came about. So it all started off with a golem being destroyed by a Ragnarok and being very upset about it. And so this pilot then got himself another golem. This is all on Reddit, by the way. I'll link that in the description. So if I get it kind of a little bit wrong, you can double check it. So basically, this golem came back in another golem, and then a golem brawl ensued between the two golems. And then both golems decided to kind of cheat. So one golem brought a Vindicator to kind of try and increase the amount of DPS that it was doing to one of the golems. And then the other golem decided to bring cap charges in a hauler to supply some more cap to it so that it could maintain its DPS and maintain its capacitor. So as a consequence of this, both sides got very annoyed with each other for cheating, and so it escalated to this Ragnarok being dropped. But this was being waited on, and this pilot of this Ragnarok has dropped in Maya before. So there was history there, and so it was caught and picked up on the bait of these two golems, and it was destroyed. And one of the things to note is, obviously, as you know, price of Titans is not reflected totally in Zkill, but also there's a 500 MN, should I say, Abyssal micro warp drive here, which must have been really costly and was a really nice mod to have on a slippery rag. So I'm sure he's not only gutted about the loss of the rag, but also about that Abyssal module as well. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough for him to warp out in time. So it didn't save him in this particular, or she, should I say, didn't save them in this particular occasion. So there you go. In terms of ratting kills, been really quiet this week. 13 raw calls again, so we're kind of like into a dozen raw calls a week at the moment, which is down from like 30 at the end of summer. So obviously, you know, if these scarcity changes all come into play, then that may drop even further. And then there was only one ratting super, if I remember correctly, that was destroyed this week. Yeah, so there you go, just one. So that is really, really low. And I've been wondering about, you know, when this is going to drop off. Maybe it'll pick up again, I don't know. But to me, there isn't any sense in ratting in a super. You just, for the price they are at the moment, it's just not worth it. But people were still doing it. Then I just need to finish off on answering a question which was asked on my Twitch stream, and I get very confused with low sec, as you all know. Someone said, can you use PDS in low sec on a Forties? I said, I think so. I can now confirm that is indeed the case. It is only in high sec that you can't use a PDS. And I talked also about can you build caps in Pochven, so there you go. Right, so that's all from me this week, a little bit shorter than usual. I hope you enjoyed it all the same. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications, mention me in Corp Discord and your Alliance Discord, and I'll either see you next week or I'll see you on my Twitch show at 2000 UTC on Friday. That's all from me. Thank you for watching. Until the next one. Bye.